And like I said, I'm mixed about the whole Deion situation. And the reason why I am is because Deion Sanders, to me, like I said, I've always been a Deion fan. I've always loved watching Deion Sanders play. Deion Sanders was a Yankee, all right? I was a young Yankee fan watching Deion Sanders when the Yankees were bad and there was not much there. There was not any winning, all right? And you just saw players who you, all right, could attach yourself to and gravitate to as a young fan. And Deion Sanders was the man. And him playing for the Yankees, like that was amazing to see. I so I'm a fan, and then when he was playing in the NFL, Atlanta Falcons, then San Francisco, okay, even going to the Cowboys, who I hate, he was a great star, flashy talent. He was the man, fun to watch, all that. We were all Deion Sanders fans. Deion very similar to King Griffey Jr. in that way, just at that time in that era where everyone was a fan of theirs, all right? Especially if you were a kid growing up, black kid growing up. However, I'm not a shill, so I'm gonna keep it real. And a lot of people out there just don't want to do that and avoid it. But all right, my biggest issue with Dion and this whole thing is that without Jackson State and HBCU, he would not be in this position at all. And so many people just want to dismiss that and want to act like Dion did so much for HBCU and Jackson State, and like everybody should be grateful that he went there for 2 or 3 years. When an actual and a lot of black people who I talk to, they're like, oh, Jackson State, they they wronged Dion and they didn't live up to what they said they were going to do for Dion and all this nonsense, all this garbage. And I feel like Dion put that stuff out there because he knew that he was going to take some heat for leaving Jackson State to go into University of Colorado, where there's hardly any black people at the school. Okay, and he knew that he was going to take some heat if he did that because when he came into Jackson State, what did he say? The Lord told me to come here. I was called here by the Lord to Jackson State, come to an HBCU, and he constantly pushed that narrative. You don't have to go to a predominantly white institution. You can come home, come to an HBCU, and we can do it here. Like that's what he preached. And my issue is you don't even see other HBCU coaches come with that rap. Okay, you don't see them come with that rap. Oh, come home, you don't have to go to a PWI. Like they, even though that's the way it should be, like these top black athletes, their heads are all in the clouds. Their parents' heads are all in the clouds. All they're thinking about is how can I make the pros and get rich? Okay, and of course, granted, that's obviously what you want to do. But why do we have to run to these predominantly white institutions to give the best in our community go to these big PWIs who already have a fortune and make them a fortune because this is big business, all right? College football, college athletics, college basketball, and football is big business, okay? Period, all right? And not only have black athletes, all right, these top black athletes, white athletes too, but college basketball and college football, it is what it is because of these special black athletes. All right, you look at the basketball team, the top basketball teams, and top football teams. All right, most of the stars are black, and these schools are making, all right, 7 figures, 8 figures, hundreds of millions of dollars off of these TV contracts because their football team, their basketball team, are like the one of the best in the country, and they're on TV all the time and getting this huge TV money. Now, like I said, these PWIs already sitting on a fortune. They get big endowments, all right, worth hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And on the other hand, you have HBCUs struggling, and when you have the best athletes of our community, instead of going to HBCUs and having HBCUs be the best football and basketball teams the way it should be, and then how much, all right, all that TV, 9 figure TV revenue will be coming to these HBCU schools, and it would change the whole landscape. And Deion Sanders is the one guy who was capable of making a change. He was the one guy capable of changing the game, all right? Because that's something that, all right, it seems like a pipe dream. Okay, all the best black athletes are going to go to HBCUs, right? Like that sounds like a pipe dream. It's sad because that shouldn't be a pipe dream. That should be the way it is. But like I said, everybody's heads are in the clouds, okay? And you have Dion, all right, making this move because he's so cool at University of Colorado. All of Black America is like loving this, and all they can talk about is University of Colorado. When again, they have a black student population of less than 3%, and these athletes, all right, who are on the University of Colorado football team, if they were not playing on the football team, if they could not help University of Colorado make millions of dollars, all right, they will not be accepted to the school. Like I said, University of Colorado has a black population, all right, student body, less than 3%, all right, but yet they all, and Dion was talking all that talk, oh, you don't have to go to a PWI, all right, come home, talking all that talk, and then as soon as he could, he was out to Boulder, Colorado, a team that won one game last year, so it was like the lowest opportunity, even though they had a that was a place definitely with, as we see, with potential to be a major player and just big time atmosphere with that university because University of Colorado has had top football teams before, and they have a base that will come up and be rabid about it. So like you knew that it was a place that was just there was a lot of potential for it to explode. And I'm sure Dion saw that because Dion knew what Colorado football was. When Dion was playing in college, University of Colorado, they were a big force, all right? But but again, it's just how big would it be right now? Because Dion has University of Colorado epicenter of sports, all right? Definitely college football, well, sports period. 'Cause like I said, everyone is watching University of Colorado when they're playing. Now, how big would that be if Dion was at Jackson State and he was beating these PWI teams at Jackson State? Like that would be the story to get behind. That would be something, all right? And you see all these black celebrities that traveling to Boulder, Colorado to go to the games. None of these guys were at Jackson State when Deion Sanders was at Jackson State, okay? But now they're going to Boulder, Colorado, University of Colorado, where again, if these kids, athletes, were not helping the university make millions of dollars, they will not even be allowed in a university. Let's be real about it, okay? So like that's what bothers me. And Deion is someone who was had the cachet to change the whole system and have the best black athletes thinking seriously about playing at HBCUs. And how could that have just changed the whole landscape of HBCUs if they could capitalize off of this buku money that's being made in college sports? It's a business. And like we know, like the NCAA still does not pay any of these players, all right? Yeah, they allow these players to go out and get their own endorsement contracts if they can, but they're still not giving college players any of the revenue they're bringing in, all right, from these football and basketball teams, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars being made. Everybody making money, but these black kids, all right. So like, and so like, why? Like, I don't see the top white athletes playing at HBCUs. So why are all the black athletes like running to play for PWIs where if they just stuck together and went to HBCUs, it would change the game. The HBCUs team: Jackson State, Hampton University, Howard, Norfolk State, Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, Delaware State. These will be the teams that we would see every week on CBS and ESPN and all that. And like, that's real. And like I said, if it was some coach who had never made a fortune and he was an HBCU coach and he had done really good things there and he left, and then it would be a totally different situation because that person had not made fame or fortune yet. And like I said, these other coaches, I don't hear them running the game that Dion was like, oh, come to an HBCU, come home. You don't have to go to a PWI. Like, I don't hear these other coaches come with that rap when they're trying to recruit kids. But Dion, that is what he was saying. So for him to then they turn and leave. I mean, to me, it rubs me the wrong way. And not just that, but like I said, without Jackson State and the HBCU, Dion would not be where he is right now because before Jackson State, no university, none of these PWI were taking him seriously. None of them were giving him a head coaching job because he didn't have any serious head coaching experience, or forget head coaching, he didn't have any assistant coaching experience on the college or NFL level. All these head coaches you see in major college football, they don't just become a head coach, all right? All these guys, all right, have spent years and years getting their elbows dirty, their hands dirty, and paying their dues and being assistant coaches and graduate assistant coaches and all this stuff, okay? And so these and football is a sport where you're dealing with like 60 players, a lot of schematical things going on. All right, the coach in football is very important. So when Dion was trying to get a head coaching job in big college football, none of these universities were taking him seriously. They're like, no, you have no experience. So, all right, HBCU, Dion had to go to a HBCU, like I said before, Talladega in Alabama to get his degree because you cannot even be a head coach of a college team without a college degree. Dion had not finished his college degree at Florida State, so he went and finished it at Talladega, all right, Talladega in Alabama. And then Jackson State, they're the ones who gave him opportunity. And the whole thing with Jackson State is like Jackson State allowed they made what Dion was doing cool, okay? Because I've said this before, all right? Had Deion Sanders had some small, predominantly white school, like a similar conference as Norfolk State, had Dion gone to one of those schools, like say like SUNY New Paltz or SUNY Oneonta or Stony Brook or Kutztown State, one of these small schools, Dion would not have he would not have been able to get the Travis Hunters, the top high school recruits to go play with him at any of those schools. Okay, the fact that Dion was able to sell the fact, look, come to an HBCU, and we can change the game. We can change the game. That is a big reason why he was able to get the Travis Hunters and the top black athletes, and so by getting them, he was able to, all right, these bigger PWIs saw, oh, this guy can recruit. He can get the best players even at an HBCU, okay? But again, had Dion not been in the HBCU, he had been at a small, predominantly white school in a similar conference to MEAC that the and the SWAC that the HBCUs are, he would not have gotten those top kids to go play with him. All right, so like Dion, HBCU, Jackson State, they made what Dion was doing very cool, and like he was able to sell that. He was able to sell that. He couldn't have sold the same thing had he been in like Stony Brook or something like that, or Kutztown State. Okay, so like the whole thing was cool, and what he was preaching was something that is the truth. Where hey, you don't have to go to a PWI. You can have the best talent in the black community go to HBCUs and let's change the game. And Dion was on the verge of doing that. Like that's why it was so disappointing because he was on the verge. It's like, yo, you've already made a fortune, all right. And also, if he was real about it from the beginning, like, look, I want my goal is to be at a big PWI in a major conference. Fine, okay. If that was his intention all along, and even when he left, he would have said, you know what, I said this before, but this is why I'm leaving, and I'm sorry, but I wanna be on a bigger level. Fine, but it's just like he sold a narrative, and it comes off as just dishonest in my view. And yeah, like I said, just all the excuses that I hear from a lot of black people. Oh, Jackson State, they didn't do right by Dion. Come on, like really, like do y'all really believe that Jackson State did Deion Sanders wrong to the point where Dion was like, you know what, I'm leaving. Come on, like let's get real, okay? Dion was just greasing the skids to get up out of there, okay? All right, from the time when he first got there and he claimed that, oh, he got robbed. Somebody stole his some of his property from his office. He came out after the first game at Jackson State, and he made this whole big scene in front of the media. Oh, someone stole from me during the game, and I can't believe this, and all this nonsense. And then after the game, it comes out, oh, that his stuff was not stolen. Somebody moved it. Yeah, okay, whatever. Okay, so from the first game, he was doing shady stuff. All right, with Jackson State. Okay, let's be honest. And everybody talks about how, all right, it has to be fair. Everyone talks about how he dominated at Jackson State. Well, if we're going to tell the truth, okay, the 2 years with Deion Sanders, Jackson State played in the HBCU championship game. They lost both times. Okay, all right, they lost. So he didn't quite dominate. All right, if he was dominating, he would have won the HBCU championship. I watched him last year lose to North Carolina Central, all right, of the MEAC, all right. Great game, but they lost. So, yeah, and it's just what made Deion, the whole story of Deion going to Jackson State in the first place was it really seemed like he was sincere about giving back. He had done so much. He had made such a fortune, all right, playing on TV, and it seemed like he was genuinely giving back and wanted to really change the game, which, like I said, he was on the way to doing. And there's not too many people who are capable of changing this whole mindset of, oh, we have to go to these big PWI schools to have a chance of going pro or what have you, all right? And, I mean, how cool would it be? Like, you see all these black celebrities at Boulder, Colorado in the last 2 weeks. How cool would it be if they were on the campus of Jackson State or of Norfolk State or Howard University or Hampton University or South Carolina State, all right? And it was the biggest game, one of the biggest games in the nation was being played at HBCU. Like, how big would it have been if Deion would have